Okay, so if you're looking for a true shortcut to understanding modern Brazil,
The essential guide.
the essential guide, exactly, how its economy operates, how its culture gets shaped, and, where the center of its political gravity really lies,
Mhm.
then this is your deep dive. We are jumping straight into the Sudeste, the Southeast region, using that stack of sources you provided as our guide.
And it's an essential mission, really, because to call the Southeast just a region is to dramatically miss the point.
It's more than that.
Oh, much more.
Yeah.
It is explicitly the economic, media, and political engine of the whole country. I mean, we're talking about the place with the largest population, the biggest piece of Brazil's GDP. It's the core.
And what really defines that core, the narrative that we see woven through all this material, is this sense of intense, vivid contrast.
Right.
Our sources don't mince words at all. They paint this picture where the concrete jungle meets the tropical forest.
Yeah, and sometimes literally across the street from each other.
It's fast, it's multifaceted, and understanding that internal tension seems absolutely necessary if you want to grasp contemporary Brazil.
That tension is the key. You said it. The region isn't some monolith of success.
Yeah.
It's a dynamic system of, opposing forces, all operating at an immense scale.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's dive straight into the rivalry that really defines the whole region, this tale of its two most famous metropolises.
This is where it all begins. The tension between São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro is just foundational to the Southeast identity.
So they're competing power centers?
Exactly, but they do it in completely different ways. It's almost like two separate countries that just happen to share a region.
So let's start with São Paulo, or SP. The sources flat out define it as the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was immediately struck by the sheer intensity, the scale that the sources give this city.
It is intense by design. I mean, São Paulo is often compared to New York City, but maybe less glamorous and much more focused on just raw industrial and financial output. It's gray, it's immense, and it is completely driven by a relentless work ethic.
The mantra is, time is money.
That's not just a saying there, it's a palpable energy. You can feel it.
And you see that reflected physically too, right?
Yeah.
In the architecture, it's all about relentless verticality, density, all designed to maximize efficiency.
Absolutely. You just have to look at Faria Lima. That's Brazil's Wall Street, basically. It's just dominated by skyscrapers, housing, global finance, tech giants, corporate headquarters.
And the people, the Paulistanos, are known for that pace.
Very fast-paced.
Yeah.
But, beyond finance, it's also the gastronomic capital. It draws in global cultures and talent, but it's all focused on performance, on output.
That focus on performance is a perfect contrast for our second city.
A total 180.
So if São Paulo is this gray, relentless engine, the work, then Rio de Janeiro has to be the lifestyle.
Without a doubt, Rio is the cultural face of Brazil. It's the part that the world consumes and, frankly, adores.
So while SP is closing deals,
Rio is exporting the globally recognized images of samba, carnival, the beach-centric life, that chaotic, uniquely relaxed Carioca way of life.
okay, let's just clarify that term for a second. A Carioca is someone from Rio.
That's right.
But how does that identity really contrast with the Paulistano? Is it just about going to the beach? Or is that something more fundamental?
Oh, it's a profound difference in priorities. The Paulistano identity is tied to efficiency, to building for the future, to this cosmopolitan professionalism.
Okay.
The Carioca identity, on the other hand, is tied to immediate enjoyment, to aesthetics, to embracing the natural environment. Rio's incredible topography, the mountains, the beaches, it actually dictates a more relaxed pace.
But wait, does focusing only on the lifestyle kind of sell Rio short? I mean, surely that cultural capital is a massive industry in itself.
That is a crucial distinction,
Yeah.
and the sources make it. Rio isn't just parades, it's a media powerhouse.
Oh.
Think about the globally syndicated telenovelas, the soap operas, and the massive creative industries that are centered there. Rio sells the Brazilian dream. São Paulo builds the machine that lets that dream function.
So the synthesis really holds up.
It does. It's surprisingly neat, but it's true. While São Paulo works, Rio lives.
So if the coast is defined by this high-stakes, high-energy rivalry, what happens when we look inward, away from the Atlantic?
Well, that brings us to the third essential state in the region, Minas Gerais. It provides the balance, the sort of historical context for both of those coastal giants.
And this is where the sources give us that really memorable analogy that helps map out the whole structure.
Yes, the body map analogy. It's fantastic. If
Hmm.
São Paulo is the brain, center of finance, logic, output,
And Rio is the face, the outward expression, the identity.
then Minas Gerais is the heart. And maybe even more importantly, the stomach of Brazil.
The heart and stomach, that immediately gets us to this idea of Minas Gerais' unique comfort culture.
Ex-
This is the region known for being the home of Brazilian comfort food. We're talking pão de queijo, that incredible cheese bread, and world-class coffee.
It really is the ultimate kitchen of the nation. But that cultural identity is so deeply rooted in its history. Minas Gerais was founded on the gold rush, on diamond mining in the colonial era.
So it's rich in history, Baroque architecture.
A ton of it.
Hmm.
But when the gold ran out, the region had to pivot to agriculture. And its vast hills became the heartland of the coffee boom in the 19th and early 20th centuries.
Right, the whole coffee with milk politics. Brazil's political direction for decades was dictated by the alliance between dairy interests in Minas and the coffee barons of São Paulo.
Exactly. So the history there isn't just, nice old buildings. It's the foundation of modern Brazilian political power. And that history also shaped the people, the Mineiros.
And the sources give them such a unique and fascinating characterization. They're described as cautious.
Cautious maybe from centuries of guarding wealth or that colonial isolation, but also incredibly hospitable.
That concept of coming quiet is such a powerful way to describe their nature, isn't it?
It is.
It suggests this reserved, observant character, a preference for listening over boasting. But once you earn their trust, that hospitality is just unparalleled.
It shows how geography and history create a culture. They had to be self-sufficient, internally focused, while the coastal cities were always looking outward.
And that self-reliance bred that quiet strength.
Mm-hmm. And it's still part of the regional DNA today.
Okay, so we've established the engine, that's SP. The face is Rio, and the historical heart is Minas Gerais.
Right.
Now we have to pivot to the fundamental challenge that unites them all, often in really shocking ways. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the Southeast is where Brazil's profound inequality is most visible.
It's where the country's staggering social paradox is in its clearest view. You see the greatest wealth being generated, and right alongside it, the greatest disparity.
And the sources give us a very specific, very stark visual for this.
They do. We're talking about the fact that these ultra-modern high-tech skyscrapers in Faria Lima, the financial district, they literally stand just kilometers away from massive, densely populated favelas.
And that structural synthesis is the crucial point, right? This isn't just rich neighborhoods next to poor ones. That happens everywhere.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
In the Southeast, the engine of wealth generation, the high finance, the advanced tech, is structurally interdependent with the areas of deepest social need.
And for anyone listening, we should clarify what the sources mean by favelas here. They're not just shantytowns.
No, not at all. They are vast, unplanned communities, often built on really difficult terrain, and they house huge percentages of the working population.
And in a city like Rio, that challenging topography building on steep hillsides just makes everything worse.
It exacerbates all the infrastructure issues, sanitation, transit. It makes it extremely difficult for the government to provide the basic services that the affluent areas just take for granted.
So high-tech and deep social challenges are just an unavoidable feature of the landscape.
Living side by side, it's the reality.
So you've got this incredible economic machine fueled by São Paulo, but that machine exists side by side with these profound social divides. How does that affect something like governance for the whole region?
It creates a perpetual tension. The sources highlight how investment often gets skewed toward maintaining the economic engine, SP's infrastructure, or the global image, Rio's tourism areas.
While huge parts of the population struggle.
Exactly. They struggle with basic services. The challenge for governance is how do you maintain that economic output while addressing this deep, constantly visible social debt?
So these contrasts aren't separate issues.
No, they're two sides of the same coin of modern Brazilian development.
So what does this all mean for you as you're, reading the news or analysis about Brazil? It means that when you see that immense economic or political power coming from the Southeast, you have to remember that this power is inherently fragile. It's fueled by these extreme structural contrasts. The prosperity and the deep divisions are, well, they're mutually sustaining parts of the same system.
So to just synthesize the core of this powerhouse, we've covered São Paulo, The tireless economic brain,
Right.
Rio de Janeiro, the vibrant cultural face,
Uh,
and Minas Gerais, the historical, soulful heart.
and all of them are united by the reality of this staggering social division, the unavoidable juxtaposition of ultramodernity and immense structural challenges.
That's the full picture.
And that leads us to our final thought. If the Southeast defines Brazil's present power, its economy, media, political weight, how might the region's internal contrasts shape Brazil's future?
Is it the big question?
Yeah, we've seen the specifics of finance and food, but think about how that simultaneous presence of high-tech and deep social challenges influences the national political discourse.
What happens when those worlds collide in an election?
Exactly. What happens when the Carioca lifestyle collides with Paulistano demands in a political cycle, all set against the backdrop of the quiet, historical weight of the Mineiros? That's the necessary next step in exploring the future of the heart of Brazil.
It's a fascinating web of contradictions to keep exploring.
Absolutely. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll talk to you next time.